Hello and welcome to another episode of the Stale Popcorn Podcast. I'm your host, Steven, and with me, as always, is my good friend Christopher.
Hello, Stephen. How are you doing this fine week?
You know, if you were to ask me that not 2 days ago, I would have said top of the world, doing great. However, something in my life changed recently, and that is we had to watch Madam Web. That's
hmm
that's what we're going to talk about today.
So I'm
So,
I'm getting a little, I'm getting a sense, a feeling, if you will, that you weren't particularly fond of the film.
Chris, well, that's a light way to put it. I some people say like leaving a child unattended with scissors is irresponsible. Some might say getting drunk before a job interview might be irresponsible, but I say spending tens of millions of dollars on a movie to prop up your little cinematic universe only for it to amount to this abysmal just dreg of a movie. That's the real definition of irresponsible for me. So eh, it was a chore and a half to get through. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to, it's a new year. I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to look for the positives, and I think we should start with the positives for this
Sure,
film.
sure.
So I'm just going to try and be happy-go-lucky, but I guess we can go over the plot. Do you want to do spoilers here, or I
Yeah, let's
let's do
let's
the
let's
world a
just
favor and just let's.
yeah.
All right, so it starts off. Opening scene. She's staring at a spider web. She's got a camera. She's pulling a Toby Maguire, Peter
Mary
Parker,
Jane, Peter Parker. Yeah.
staring off. That's impossible. It's taking pictures of webs, and you're like, oh, we are in for a treat here.
Mm-hmm.
And she's in Peru, of all places, searching for a spider. And she finds the bloody spider, and this shady Peruvian man, uh, he ends up shooting. I think he was supposed to be a bodyguard, a colleague. What was
I
he
think I think
exactly?
a colleague. And just to clarify, this isn't Dakota Johnson who's at the beginning. It's another actress. So it's
Yeah.
a flashback, if you will.
It looks like Dakota Johnson, but she has like a mole on her face is the only clear difference, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
distinctive enough to say to the audience, this is not Dakota Johnson. It's a different lady, if you will.
My wife was clear to point that out, and I was like, "No, it's her. Like, why else would then?" But yeah, you find out it's Madam Webb's mother,
Mm-hmm.
whose name we'll just call her Mom, because I have no idea what her
Couldn't
name
be
is.
bothered
Yeah,
to learn her name,
she
honestly.
finds the spider, and evil Peruvian man.
Ezekiel.
Oh, that's right. Ezekiel decides to just go, you know, uh, Kingsman guy at the church and just start killing everyone.
Anyways, I start blasting.
He just kills everyone, and he gets up to her, and he's trying to take the spider, and she's like, "No!" And so he shoots her, takes the spider, and then it cuts to these creepy. I think they're called the
Yeah.
Ranya tribe, and they crawl down the trees, and I want to say they show this scene like a four times in the movie of just like a flashback of them crawling down the trees, and then they grab her, drag her into some water, and they put a spider on her. Or there was a spider on her chest, and she gives birth in the water to a baby that becomes Madam Web, and the
Hmm.
mom dies immediately.
Hmm.
And then you,
That's just the first like 3 minutes.
yeah,
Like no joke. Like when you get into a movie and you're just settling in. You got your phone, you're turning it off, and you're getting your popcorn ready, so you're not really looking at the screen. This movie, you got to stay glued to that screen because if you look down for half a second, you might see, or you might look up again and see Spider-Man, literal men spider, leaping through the forest.
yeah.
Just absolutely
And
ridiculous.
they're wearing like this weird like fishnet. Is that like clothes? Is that because they got bit by the spider? was there any clarity on like what that outfit was, or
I think it's a pale attempt to do a nod to like, hey, you remember Spider-Man? He has web on his suits. So this primitive tribe, they have ropes and stuff on their
okay,
suits.
all right,
It's like poetry. It rhymes, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And did they? Was it? Did they have the spider like do anything to the mom for like healing powers, or he just like
Just
wanted
bitter.
to do
Just
a
yeah.
bitter? And the whole reason that these spiders have, I assume they're like cousins to Spider-Man's radioactive spider
Sure,
because
yeah.
they give you some sort of powers,
Mhm.
but it didn't save her apparently, so it wasn't that good of a power she got. Just made her live a couple extra minutes to give birth.
Yeah, I was confused 'cause, you know, I was looking getting my stuff adjusted still and looking up at the screen and stuff, and, from what I understand, the mother was dying, so they put her in this healing pool, um, and then they have the spider bite her that's supposed to, like, save her life or something, but it doesn't. So they
Yeah,
just had
but
the spider bite her and then let her die. It was like, "What?" I don't know.
and just to cut forward and then come back is the whole reason she went to Peru was because her she was pregnant, and it turns out that her child wouldn't make it through the pregnancy because of some
Yeah.
sort of disease or
Autoimmune
something.
disease or something. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
Spoiler.
why she
Yeah.
went to Peru and did all this. So I guess the
Mhm.
spider helps the baby not die, maybe that, but just forget about the mom here. Or
Yeah.
just only
Yeah.
one can live. So then, yeah, it cuts like 30 years to 2003 of all years.
Yeah.
Dakota Johnson, who, what was her name? Cassie or something?
Cassie.
Yeah,
Cassie
Cassie.
Webb. Yeah.
She's a EMT with
Mhm.
Ben Parker, believe it or not, just to
Mhm.
show that it's in the same universe as Spider Man. And
Yeah.
yeah, they're driving along and just showing she's EMP, and she's super weird about like people giving her some family gave her like a thank you for saving my mother or daughter card, and she's like, what do I do with this?
She's like, get away. You'll make me
Yeah,
dirty." Like,
super
you peasant.
awkward.
Like,
And then Ben's like, just take it and throw it away when they're not here. And she's like, it's cardboard. I can't even fold it. I'm like, who are you? What?
who is this yeah.
What is going
Not off
on?
to a great start. You can save lives, but you get disgusted when somebody tries to
Yeah,
say
like,
thank you.
ugh.
Great personality trait. Like,
Yeah, she seems like she does not care for her job at all. She
mhm.
does not, because she does not care about helping people at all.
Yeah,
Like,
so it's like, why are you even there,
yeah,
Cassie?
I don't understand. Maybe
Yeah.
she's like, I ain't getting paid for this, and I ain't doing this off the clock. I don't know exactly, but. And then it cuts to Ezekiel, and he's all suave, and he just goes to an opera as you do, and he beds some like CIA lady or
Who's
national security.
significantly older than him, by the way. I was kind of uncomfortable. I don't know. He looked like kind of in good age and good shape, but I was like, "Who's this elderly nursing home lady you bedded, man? What's the
Was
deal with
she that
that?"
old?
Like, May-
I thought
maybe it's
she
my
looked
screen.
fine.
Maybe it's my angle I was at.
Yeah, maybe.
I perhaps went in this movie a bit judgmental, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um, beds her, gets he wakes up and he has this nightmare of these three spider girls, spider women. I don't know exactly what their titles are.
Spider lasses.
Spider lasses,
Hmm.
um, killing him. They end up killing him, and he wakes up. The token wake up and immediately sit up from a nightmare. Have you ever done that before, where you
No,
have
if
a nightmare and you sit up as you wake
no,
up? Is
no,
that a
that's not a
thing?
thing.
Okay. Well, it is in this movie,
It is in a lot of movies, but not in
not
real
this
life. I
one.
don't.
And she is like, "Oh, nightmare," and he's like, "It's not a nightmare; it's a vision."
She's like, "Sure, okay, yeah." Like,
Okay. It's not a. Oh, I wrote down the quote actually. It's not a dream. I'm going to be murdered one day. It's just, oh,
She's really regretting her choice to
Okay.
sleep with this man.
and then and then he does. He's like, "Give me your passcode for the golden eye from Fast and the Furious." Apparently,
Oh yeah,
whatever.
because she was like a CIA lady or something, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
she's with like national security, and they have this high
Mhm.
tech program that
Which
all.
just looks like a normal gaming setup nowadays.
Yeah,
Like she's got like 6 screens, and I'm like, that's a typical like YouTuber, Twitch streamer right there.
but the
Like,
the main thing is you can track anyone's identity based off of just like their part of their face or something.
mhm.
And so somehow he imports his memory into the computer. Did it discuss
I
that?
think he was just like, this is what they look like, and I assume they brought in a police sketch
Did a
artist.
little sketch there, and they're like, "Well,
Yeah.
surely it is these three."
Yep.
All right, fair enough. No more questions asked there. And he finds out that there's these three girls. They're all like 16-year-olds that are gonna murder them. And there was a pretty good quote. I'm trying to think of what it was like. Oh, they're teenagers, and he's like, they won't be someday, or it said something. I
Yes.
think I
Yeah.
wrote it down. It's like they're
I
teenagers
yeah.
now, but
They'll
in the
be adults
future,
soon. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
In the
like,
future, they'll be adults. I'm like,
I want
yeah.
to check the
Mm-hmm.
background FBI search of whoever the writer is who put that line in there, because some of these lines, I'm just like imagining them going over the script, and if you just read these, like I was just writing them down on my phone, just random quotes, and I had to stop because I'm like, there's just too many. I can't write all of these down, and that was definitely one of them. But
Yeah.
so then he's out trying to kill these three uh,
Young
teenagers
ladies before they can kill him.
before they can
Right.
kill him, and they have this software that can not only read their faces, but also they got hacked into every single cam in the world, basically all these street cams. And he sees they're all at the subway, and then Q
Oh wait,
de-
before that, sorry. Going back
yes.
to his just want to go back to his vision real quick. In his vision, he sees all three of them in their respective Spider Women costumes. And when you're watching it, it doesn't explicitly show you like this is a vision. So you just see him sleeping, and then these three girls break into his room and just curb stomp him, like just beat him to death and stuff. And and it's just out of nowhere because you don't like you literally just went from person in the rainforest giving birth and dies, and then this dude getting beat up by three Spider Women. There's no context or anything. It's so just like choppy as all get out, and they just like show their costumes and everything. There's no build up to anything, and it's like, oh, that's okay. So, yeah. Anyway,
And yeah, I guess leading up before this happens, there's there's that iconic scene where she's an EMP and there's a car crash on a bridge, and they're going to
mm-hmm.
save someone, and she crawls in the car, and then the car falls off the bridge and she is in the car, and it falls off the bridge and it lands in water, and then this weird thing happens where she starts seeing all these, I don't know, holograms and uh,
Yeah,
kind of
I
an
don't know what
outer
was
body. I don't
yeah.
know. I kind of got lost there. A bunch of stuff happens, and she dies. But then Ben, CPRs her back to life,
Mm-hmm.
and
I was confused at that because like, is it was it explained at any point in the movie where her powers like dormant and only then they came out recently because of XYZ or something,
well,
or was
I
it just
I
like
think it's because she was born in water. It was a water birth.
so she had never taken a bath before that
I
point?
guess she never showered, never bathed, never went swimming. That was the
Swim,
first
yeah.
time she never washed her hands. That was or maybe it was just something traumatic happening in water, I guess. And maybe
That
that was it. I'm trying to defend him. I'm positive. I'm a positive man. Um,
sure.
and then uh, Ben saves her, or some EMP, and then he says something like, "Oh, get some rest." And she says, it was something like, oh, you just once my heart beats fine, I'm safe or something. And she gets a vision. Her first vision is he takes her heart rate, and it's like, oh, 89, and then she's like, it's 89, I'm fine. And then it cuts back, and she sees the whole scene again, and she's like, it's 89, and he's like, we just did this, and then that's when she's
I
like,
just said this,
something's
Phil.
that's when she's like, something's going on here.
Hmm.
And then she goes to believe it or not, in case you forgot, this is the same universe as Spider-Man. She goes to Mary Parker's uh,
House.
birth
Baby
baby. I
shower.
was like, what is that
Birth
called? Birth
shower.
shower, a baby shower. And I guess is Peter's dad. Did they
He's
say
not in the picture.
he's just deadbeat? He's just out getting milk, or whatever. So he's
Yeah,
gone, and I guess she's like living with Uncle Ben.
I guess. Yeah. Did you recognize who they got as Mary? What was it Mary Parker?
Yeah, Emma Roberts.
Emma
Any
Roberts.
relation to Julia?
I think that's her daughter. So
Okay.
between Emma Roberts and Dakota Johnson, we got a couple of nepo babies here,
I enjoy Emma Roberts. Also, what is Nepo?
like nepotism.
Nepo Oh, who's
Like the
Johnson's?
Dakota Johnson,
Yeah.
uh, her dad.
Jake
Hold on,
Johnson from
Jake Johnson. Yeah,
New Girl? Is that his daughter or what?
yeah.
Dwayne
Hold
the
on, let
Rock,
me.
is that his kid?
Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson. You know Don Johnson. He's in
Oh,
Knives Out.
Don. Ah,
Yeah, yeah.
he's got that nice voice. Yeah,
Hmm.
Knives Out. That one show
Hmm.
with Lindsay Lohan, Sick Note or something. All right, all right.
Yeah.
Um, I will say positive. There was probably one scene that I thought was actually pretty funny. Was at the baby shower. She has another one of these. She's kind of being a little weird, vision, yada yada, and then she
Hmm.
talks about her uh, how she was born. Her mother died during childbirth, and that her mom decided to go to Peru, 8 months pregnant, to look for spiders. And obviously, it's not a good thing to say at a baby shower, but it made me chuckle. I will say I thought that was kind of funny.
Mm.
Nothing from you.
You're more positive than I am. I was like, you know, in my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be sitting here watching a Spider-Man spin-off movie with an extended baby shower scene. I was just, I was angry at the universe at that point.
uh,
But I'm glad you saw some
I
positive
thought
from it.
I'm gonna defend. I thought that was pretty funny. I'll give him that.
All
That was
right,
a
all right.
funny. I laughed out loud verbally. So,
Very
anyways,
good.
so she's got the powers going on. Now go back to the three girls are all at the train station at the same time. And guess what? So is Madam Web, aka Cassandra, aka Cassie,
What?
and they're all on the train. She's going crazy or whatever, seeing visions. She's
She's got her Nick Cage next powers dialed in.
oh yeah. I did have a well. You kind of stole it, but
Oh, sorry.
one of my things I was gonna say a review of the movie. If I had to say it in a sentence, Nick Cage did it better. So just basically her
I literally
powers
have
is she's Nick Cage, and yeah, next here.
I literally have those exact words in my notes too. Nick Cage did it better.
Nick Cage. Um. So yeah, she's seen this vision of this. Ezekiel walking in the train and just choking these girls, and she's like, "What?" And then he sees her beat up some other girl, and then she sees him actually walking in person, present day. He's walking towards it, and she gets up. We need to get off the train now, and she's like telling the girls to get off, and they're like, "What are you doing? You crazy? What are you
Hmm.
nuts? And she steals the black girl's skateboard, and then they see the guy coming, and they get off the train, but then he changes into a black spider suit, right?
Yeah.
What did it? Because in her
Or was
visions,
he?
it's him not in a suit beating them up. Like that's
But
what
then
was gonna
in
happen.
reality, it is him in the
But and then in
suit.
reality, he switches into a spider suit, which I'm like, if you don't care about your identity beating him up, like what's the point of going through the hassle of switching to a suit? But
Mhm.
anyways, he's in black suit. He's chasing after him. She smacks him in the head or something, and he gets the cops see him, and they start trying to stop him. He's punching him. He's choking him. He's throwing him, and they all run away, escape him, steal some guy's cab. Somehow, like four girls sneak into a cab while the guy's just helping with luggage 2 feet away, and he doesn't notice, and they take off. And they're getting chased down the street by the spider guy, and somehow they escape him, get to the woods in the middle of New York City somehow,
Yeah.
and uh, and then she drops him off, and she's like, "All right, we need to lay low, but first I'm gonna go. While you guys stay here in the woods, I'm gonna take this cab, which is stolen, by the way, and just drive back home and do some research or something." So she does that. She's looking through her pictures, and she sees. Maybe I'm going out. She goes home and she's looking through her mom's spider pictures, and she sees Ezekiel in a picture in the background. And she's like, "Hey, I recognize this man." And something about spiders. Is
Yeah.
that what happens, or did I skip something here? Or is that
No,
later?
no, I
It's
think
all
that's
kind
it.
of a
Yeah,
blur.
she goes back to her place to do some research, and then she comes back, and the three little ladies have wandered off and just decide to go to a diner or something.
Yeah, apparently
Um,
there's a diner just right next to the woods.
um, oh man, this movie sucks so much.
They go in the diner and they're, doing. Oh, you know what pissed me off here? Or tell me if I'm crazy. They go in the diner and they next thing you know, the three girls are dancing on a table as you do at a, at your local diner,
Sure, yeah.
dancing to Britney Spears "Toxic."
Hmm.
And the guy pulls out his paper, his Daily Bugle, if you will, and it's like three girls abducted or whatever by uh, missing.
Whoever, yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm like, they were gone for what, 2, 3 hours? And they printed it on a newspaper that he then is reading?
Happen to have, yeah.
Like, is that a
I didn't
thing?
notice that. Yeah, they were missing literally like 2 hours ago.
And
Like,
he's reading it on the paper, and then he calls the police, and somehow it gets to Ezekiel, and that's how he knows to go to the diner.
yeah,
Um,
life moves pretty fast in 2003.
and and Dakota Johnson, Cassie, she gets back to the woods. They're not there. So she's like, and so she walks, sees the diner, and sees them dancing. And then she gets in there. Spider guy comes in there fighting. He's trashing him. He's beating him up. He, kills her. But then,
Gets
whoosh, rewind, this was a vision, of course.
mhm.
And she's like, "Oh no!" So she hops in her car. She turns on the radio to "Toxic" because that's the song they're dancing to. And she's like, "I got this much time in the song," and she drives. Uh, Barely gets there in time. Which, how close is this diner to? Like, I don't understand why it would take that much longer to get there by car than by walking.
Yeah, because they were it's within walking distance of where they were.
I
So
guess, yeah. But she gets there, hits them with the car. They all get in the car, drive away. They make it back to her place, and and then it's kind of more of a. I mean, it's all a little to be fair, but she's, next thing you know, she's teaching them CPR. She's, oh, you know what? The girls are. You find out that all of the girls have some sort of connection
tragic
with her.
backstory. Oh yeah,
Well,
that too.
yeah, and tragic. they're like, oh, black girl flipped her off in the beginning. Oh, this girl lives in her building, yada yada.
This girl doesn't have parents.
Yeah,
Like,
and
yeah,
then you find out they're all abandoned, which
yeah,
was kind of one of them. Her
sure.
parent died or something. She's alone. One of them, you know, parent abandoned her.
It's
One
in
of
foster
them's
care.
dad got deported, and I'm like, like I don't know about you, but like I feel like if my parent got deported, I'd kind of make it a goal to somehow reconnect. But she was
Yeah.
like, oh man, yeah, my dad's a deadbeat like yours, just oh yeah, what an
Deadbeat because
a
he got
hole to
deported.
get
Yeah.
deported here. What a freaking idiot.
Yeah.
And so they're all talking about, everyone's abandoned, they're all alone, and so Cassie does what she's like. You know what? Wow, that's so sad. I'm gonna just drop everything, go to Peru. you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
just I'm leaving the country. I gotta see the spider for myself.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, she makes Ben Parker babysit them
yeah,
too.
drops them off
For
at Ben's house.
doesn't tell him when she's gonna be back. I got to go to Peru.
Yeah,
Just getting there is gonna take a couple days. Then I'm gonna spend whatever how many days I got down there. So just keep these three kidnapped girls in your care.
yeah, these,
No questions asked. Just
yep. And she goes to Peru, runs into the spider guy. He's evolved. He's wearing full clothes, and
he's got a beard. Yeah.
and he's like, "You trust me?" And she's like, "What?" And then he just
Why
shoves
would
her
I?
in the
Like,
water.
hold on. There's a part in there where I thought was hilarious. She has pictures from her mom's journal. So she goes in there with her mom's journals and notes and everything, and she gets to this place in Peru, this very remote jungle, and she holds up a picture of this forest, and she smiles and she's like, "Yep, this is the place." And it's just like this generic forest, and
Yep,
I'm like, "Surely you jest, because this is nothing. Like this is
this is the
you
place.
can't.
Yep.
There's no markers. There's no milestones. Like, come on now. Like, gosh."
Yeah, that's yeah. And she finds out. She learns about her mom, the reason she went there, and I guess the spider's given powers or something. I don't actually remember. Does she learn anything that useful besides that her mom, she shouldn't hate her mom? Was that basically it?
I guess so. Yeah, and they also they also say one of the greatest lines. I had to write this line down. They're in the cave where she receives the vision of her mom, and
Hmm.
the guy, spider person, beard man. He says, because he's talking about how you have this great power now, and I was like, don't do
Oh
it,
gosh.
don't you do it.
Oh man.
And he said, I didn't feel bad about whipping out my phone, and writing this down because there were two people in my theater, but he said, "You're the only one who can change the future, and when you take on the responsibility, great power will come." I said,
uh,
threw up my hands, and I said, "God dang
yeah.
it! Leave it
That
to
was
Sony to ruin the most iconic superhero line." I'm like, how do you mess that up? Like, it's not
yeah.
even. Ugh,
It's
ugh.
like it's kind of annoying when you know it's coming in every Spider-Man, which I'm like, obviously I get it, but I'm like, don't
Mm.
waste it on, don't do it in Madam
Don't waste
Web
it on Madam Web. Yeah,
and
I'm
do
like,
this
gosh dang
like
it.
Field of Dreams type mix. But
Yeah.
yeah, when that happened, I was just like, oh brother, like there's,
Oh,
I
brother,
could
this
just
guy
feel
stinks.
this was.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to just take a deep breath. I could feel everyone around me just like, oh man,
Just an audible, altogether grunt. I was
just
like, oh man.
oh yeah, that
And
was that was something.
when she's done with that little bit in Peru, there's like 20 minutes left in the movie, and I was like, surely, like this movie is it like is this a two parter? But no, they wrap it up in 20 minutes after she comes back from Peru.
Yeah, this movie is one where I don't know about you, but I was checking my watch every 10 minutes. I'm like, all right, well, I looked at the runtime before. I was like, all right, it's 116 minutes. We're at 50 minutes here, all right? Just got to go. We're over halfway. Whatever. And
Yeah.
Uh,
I was worried. I was like, they're not gonna make it. They got 20 minutes left. What's going on here?
yeah.
Yeah.
So she comes back from Peru, and guess what? Mary Parker goes into labor. So obviously Ben's gonna take her to the hospital. I think her water breaks, and she was like, "Oh, I think my water broke or I peed." And you know, I was
Right.
like, I'm just imagining the writers like, "Oh, this is gonna make the theater chuckle here. This is good." You know,
Yeah.
crickets in my theater. I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was the only one that laughed, and that was at that baby shower I already
I
discussed.
can picture you in the theater like that ostrich guy on Family Guy. You're like, ah, ha, ha. Like,
No, I was like Jeff Goldblum.
yeah. Oh, man.
And so anyway, she's going into labor, and the she's been in Peru, so probably been what? Oh, it's got to have been at
Yeah,
least
it's been like
four
four
or
or five
five
days.
days
Yeah.
at the minimum. The Spider-Man Ezekiel hasn't been able to track the three girls this whole time because so apparently they've got a pretty good safe space. She goes into labor. So, you know, what's the natural thing to do? Well, let's bring these three teenagers to the hospital, driving through these streets. And shocker, somehow the camera from the street picks up one of the girls who's just staring at it from the car window and triggers Ezekiel. Ooh, this is where they are. He, they do this fight scene in the street. And then next thing you know, out of nowhere, Madam Web drives an ambulance through something
A
above, like
freaking building.
yeah,
Like,
like a bridge through a building, and perfectly hits him. Where I'm like, did she like I don't I get she's can see the future and all that. Like, did she like how would you plan such a perfect hit here? But
yeah.
somehow she does it, and they run, and there just happens to be an abandoned firework factory or something, or what
They
was
make a
that?
they make a they make a point to say, "Oh, I think she saw it in her future vision or whatever." But they're like, "This is a firework factory that's structurally unstable. Nobody's in it." Well, okay, geez, calm down.
So
Like,
it was abandoned,
yeah, I guess. So
and
they
they
just
just like, let's just leave millions of dollars of fireworks in here. No one will come in.
listen. I've never been to New York. Maybe those things happen. They have abandoned buildings full of fireworks,
I
active fireworks all
guess.
over the place. I don't know.
Because if I know anything about abandoned buildings, it's that hoodlums don't like to go into them and, you know, spray paint, light it with fire, and it's perfect sense. And yeah, they start lighting all the fireworks, tricking the guy, and then they start, fighting him, and then they end
Fight. That's
off
a tenuous use of the definition. They're
fighting.
fighting them.
They're
Yeah, they run away and shoot
quarreling, if
fireworks
you
at
will.
them.
Yeah, they shooting fireworks, and like his powers are he can climb on walls,
Super strength and
but he
jumping.
doesn't have like. Is it really super? Like he can jump high,
I don't know if he's got super strength. I
but
guess because
like
he's like he choked someone real hard or real good. Maybe.
oh,
I
also
guess.
they think she kidnapped the girls, right? The three girls, because that was what was in the paper.
Yeah.
But there's like hundreds of people that would have seen the Black Spider-Man like chasing them. Like that never like all
Yeah.
even he even fights cops, and I'm pretty sure he didn't kill all the cops. You'd think they're like, oh, this guy that killed some cops fought us. Let's go after him. But just no mention of that in the paper,
That,
which is also that it was the Daily Bugle, which notoriously hates Spider-Man. So why don't they have a menace? This guy, yada yada.
well, they didn't know about Spider-Man back. This is 2003, mind you.
I know, but
So it makes it even weirder that when Spider-Man does show up, they're like, "Hey, remember like 20 years ago when there was
yeah,
another Spider-Man running amok and killing police officers in the middle of nowhere?"
yeah, I guess. So, anyways, there's a fight. it turns out she can. Oh, I guess she learns in Peru that she can go in the future, or no, she can be more than one place at a time. He says,
Yeah.
and that comes in handy at the end.
Boy, does it.
What you wouldn't call it a fight, maybe like a kerfuffle or what would you call it here?
A scrap.
Scrap, yeah, a little scrap, where it's like, oh, these three girls need your help, and you can't. He says you can't be three places at once, and she
He
says,
said, "Try me, try
oh,
me."
can't I? And she goes, and all she does is just like, oh, let me give you a hand, let me help you, oh, you too. And I think one of the girls just like, hey, just hang in there, you're doing good.
Yeah, she doesn't do anything.
and, uh, and then they're fighting, and how much money do you think Pepsi paid this people? Because you see lots of Pepsi, and the end climax is a Pepsi sign falls on top of him and kills him. Which you would think if he had super strength, he probably wouldn't die from a Pepsi sign. You'd think like
Maybe it's a metaphor.
Pepsi kills us. It's not healthy.
I guess. I don't
You can
know. Yeah.
outlive a bullet, but you can't outlive Pepsi or whatever.
Yeah.
But
And that's the climax, honestly.
yeah, that's the climb. Well, if you want the climax, I I wrote this from memory, so it might be a little off. But after I was like, I have to rewrite. I have to write down what just happened at the end here. Um, but the end scene is she's in her apartment or whatever, and she's now gone blind, and she's in a wheelchair
Oh yeah, they're
because
at the hospital and she's gone blind and they're like, "Oh, immediate family only." And they're like, "We are family." And
yeah.
he's like,
Oh,
"Oh,
all right.
doing that. All right."
Yeah, that was
She
the only
adopted.
reason the nurse walked in. She didn't like do any checks. She just walked in. Immediate family only. Oh, all right. See you later.
It all checks out.
Uh,
Even though there's three different races here.
yep. All right. Fair enough. And it ends. She's in a wheelchair. She's looking like Madam Web, if you will, the dark
Mhm.
glasses, and she's looking away. And the girls come in, and, assuming they're a happy family living together, and one of the girls like, "Oh, I got your order. It's And then Madam Web finishes the sentence, "Oh, chicken masala, whatever it was." And then she says, "Bless you." And then one of the girls sneezes, and they look at her like, "What? How did you do?" Like I'm like, "Have you not? Did you not remember this whole thing?" Like
The whole
she's
movie,
she's
like she
told them
knows
how
she can
she
tell.
can see in the future, and then they're like, "How are you? How's your vision or something? How are you seeing?" She's like, "I can see better than I ever have." and, and then one of the girls is like, "Can you see our future?" Again, I'm like, "You know who this is? Like
She's like, she should explain
would you
this like
win?"
four times now.
And then Madam Web says, "I can see you standing up for what you believe, never giving up, discovering you are also more powerful than you thought. Nothing I didn't already know." And then it cuts to the one of the girls saying, "I don't know about you, but that makes sense to me." And then the two other girls are like giggling, like, "Wow, you're crazy." And then the girl's like, "What? I'm being serious." And they're like throwing food at each other at the end. And that's how then it cuts to credits. And I'm like, what? What is going on here? It was
Yeah.
all right. So now, I mean, we saved you about an hour, I guess, a time, an hour and a half a time from watching the movie. I think we went probably more in depth than anyone else would ever for this plot here. Now that we've gone over that, Stephen, did you like the film?
Oh gosh. Oh man, I I'd rather watch Morbius for a week straight
Is it
than
that
have to
bad,
even.
huh?
Oh man, this is by far. I've seen a few good movies. I've seen a lot of bad ones. This is by far the worst movie I have ever seen in my life. And there's not a single redeeming factor about this thing. It fails on every single aspect of like a film. That like writing is awful, acting is like nothing. These these beige just figures of people doing this, visuals awful. There's nothing like, oh, oof, just I can't.
Yeah.
I need to take my blood pressure medication just thinking about this, man. Like,
Yeah, just like I'm just imagining the writers like, all right, Chat GPT, write me the script, and then they're like, all right, now we need to, we need to make it funny. Can you add some comedy scenes? And Chat GPT is like, oh, what if we have her think she can climb walls? And I think she says, you never know if you can't climb walls unless you try. And then she tries to climb the wall, and guess what? She falls. She cannot climb the wall. And that was another one at my theater here is just like a groan,
just
like,
deadpan.
oh,
Oh gosh, it's gonna be one
uh,
of those.
you know, it's like when
Yeah,
your kid, just, you know, falls down at their ballerina and you're just like trying not to laugh. It's just like it's sad. You don't want to laugh. You don't want to encourage it. But
yeah.
yeah.
It's this movie went through a lot of like reshoots and rewrites and stuff, and it blows my mind that they looked at this movie, and at the end, like the producers, the director, they wiped their hands. They said it's not only good, it's good enough. Like it was, I don't I don't understand how they could deem this reasonable. Can you imagine what it was like before all the rewrites and reshoots? Just absolute
I want to
dregs.
see
Like,
that cut. Like that's yeah, what do you think would have made it so like that people were like, let's add these things to it cuz that original version must have been something here. So I never saw Morbius, but you're saying you made it pretty clear you're saying this is the worst Sony
oh,
Marvel
by far,
film here.
by far. When Craven comes out, we should do a Sony averse ranking.
Oh,
But this one, oh man, like I can't even. Morbius was fun because it had accompanied memes, with it, and there's a whole internet campaign. Like that was fun. This would be a part of
yeah.
that. But this one, not even like you can tell. Not even the actors want to be a part of this. They don't know which way is left when they're doing the press tours. It's just it's hard to watch on all fronts. Um, I have here in my notes Adam Scott. We love Adam Scott. He's a great actor. Severance is great. Um, let me see here in my notes. Adam Scott's better than this. Um, you know how if you're watching a movie and you see like a little fat kid getting bullied, and it just breaks your heart, and you just want to wrap him up in your arms. I wanted to reach my arms through the screen and wrap my arms around Adam Scott and just be like, "It's okay. You don't have to. After this, we won't talk about it again. We'll go home and get you some ice cream. Everything's gonna be all right." Because I just felt so bad for him to have to be in this filth of a movie.
Yeah, I never watched any of the I mean, I don't really watch press tours, but I'm curious to see them doing interviews of this movie because everyone's like, this is a great film. It's one of my proudest projects. Like, are they
Yeah.
saying that? Or are they just like, oh, check it out?
It's definitely a movie.
It's a
It's
movie.
something.
I got paid lots. I have
I'm
the
a hundred
budget here.
percent. Oh,
Sorry, you
okay.
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say I'm 100% convinced that Sony, the vampires at Sony and Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney's agents, they tricked them into being in this movie to be like, hey, Marvel, right? Iron Man, Captain America, the MCU. This is one of those, so you should be in it. It's going to be good. And they, they're actors. They're busy doing stuff, so they see Marvel and they're like, oh, I hear Spider Man. I 100% am in the camp that they tricked these poor women into being in this movie, fully making them believe that they're going to be part of the MCU. They're going to be rubbing shoulders with Iron Man and Captain America and Thor and all that, only for them to be in like just this. I've already said it. It's a terrible movie, but
Yeah.
just this excuse of a film here.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
want
sorry.
to, well, budget. Do you know what the budget is for this?
Um, oof. I'll be really depressed if it's more than 100 mil.
It's 80. So
80.
it's lower than it's lower than I feared it was. I was scared it was going to be like a 120 or something.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm looking at this director It was their directorial debut,
Well, she
like
might
for
want to skip this
movies.
one, putting on her
She
resume.
did a lot of television episodes, but yeah, I wonder. I feel bad. Hopefully, she can get back from that.
Well, let's be honest. This movie wasn't directed. Like they hired this director, but it screams just corporate product. Like this thing was written by executives who had an agenda with no passion or interest even in the source material or anything. So can't put too much.
Yeah, I don't necessarily blame the director because I mean, you look at Morbius. All of these other ones are bombing too. And what's the common denominator here? It's the
It's
higher ups.
Sony.
So
Hmm.
I'm hoping. Her name's S.J. Clarkson. I hope that she can get get back on her feet here.
Bounce
I'm
back.
rooting
Yeah.
for you. And the the screenplay, it was by Matt Sazama and Burke Sharpless, and they this isn't their first rodeo. They've done other hit films such as Morbius,
Mm.
Gods of Egypt,
Mm.
The Last Witch Hunter,
Mm.
Dracula Untold. So you know, you can't hate. They've got a proven track record.
Oh
Nothing but bangers here. Uh, oh man,
gosh,
I forgot about Gods of Egypt. That was a movie I saw in theaters, and I honestly forgot about it till this day. But
man, how did
yeah,
they? There's there's a lot of problems in Hollywood, but given people like this multiple chances, that's the most egregious sin in my opinion.
that's,
Just what are you doing? What are you thinking?
hey man,
Gosh,
I'm honestly, it's impressive. It's
to
like that
write that many bad movies in a row.
to still keep getting it. Like, hey, we'll get you in here on a $80 million movie here.
Yeah.
Again, I
Oh
can't hate
man,
on the screen, because they've done bangers. You can't dispute it. But
all of I wait. Let me think. All those movies. I know. Oh, Morbius. They Most of those movies are trying to set up like like a cinematic universe. Dracula Untold. It's
mhm,
got they're trying to set up with the monster
a
universe.
monster or something.
Morbius has the infamous vulture scene. What else? This atrocious thing.
Yeah, the other
Gods of
ones are.
Egypt, probably.
I think Gods of Egypt's alone, and Last Witch Hunter was alone. They also did Power Rangers, which I never seen, but I assume it's quite a banger as the rest.
If their track record proves to be anything, then yeah, sure, on the same
Yes.
caliber as that. Anyway, I had fun. It was a fun movie.
Yeah, honestly, if we're going released this year, it's in my top two I've seen. I guess three. How many have we done?
uh,
We just did
of like movies coming out, we did
yeah,
Argyle.
Argyle and that
Oh man, I
other
feel
Jake
bad.
Johnson one.
Argyle, I'm sorry. I was harsh. I was harsh on you because there's worse out there. Let me tell you.
Yeah. But this is comfortably, I think this is my number three film of the year so far, so
Sure.
that
Yeah.
I've seen released this year. But
Anyway,
yeah, just checking the notes. I think I have a couple quotes that I didn't mention yet, um, just to make sure I cover everything, because I just can't stop talking about this film. She, seriously, don't do dumb things was the line in the film. Um,
it's good advice.
oh, here's a good one. You know the best thing about the future? It hasn't happened yet.
Wiser words never spoken, I think.
She's on to
Gosh.
something here. Oh, the girls were never your future. I was. And this was her talking to Ezekiel saying, "Oh, they weren't going to kill you. I was." And then she, you know, makes the Pepsi
Pushed him
sign
off,
fall
yeah.
on him. But yeah, so I did have my one positive, so you got me there, but Yeah, I would
And your
recommend.
one positive was the baby shower chuckle.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Also, she's in New York City and she steals a cab and she goes like what, 3 weeks and somehow she's still driving this cab around and like the no one catches her. I don't know.
I
That's
think there's a scene where she takes the license plates off.
just she just switch license plates?
No, she just takes them off.
But like is that would be easier to catch you would think if you're driving with no license plates?
Hey, listen, New York in 2003 was lawless, baby.
Yeah, all right. Fair enough, fair enough. But
Mm.
yeah, I don't think I got much else to say. Like I'm giving it a ringing endorsement, 2 thumbs up, 5 stars, 10 out of 10. See this, bring your family. If you, man, this is a great film. If you finally get the confidence to, ask the girl of your dreams out, bring her to this film. It's going to really get her heart flowing, beating, and I think it's going to really help you out. But I can't recommend this film anymore.
Very good.
And when I say I can't recommend this film anymore, I mean I cannot recommend this film anymore. It's terrible. It's don't do it. Just listen to this and put it out of your mind. Just don't. It's a bad film, and it's not one of those enjoyable bad films. It's bad. It's impressively bad. I'm sorry, I'm getting negative. I was trying to be positive, but you know, this film has made me destroy my New Year's resolution of being positive. It sucked all the positivity out of me. Um, but yeah, good
I
film
had
though.
fun. It was fun.
Yeah, sure.
No, that's good stuff. Anyway, um, if you're still watching, thanks for watching. It's a long episode, but be sure to like and follow, leave a review for us here on Spotify or Amazon, and yeah, whatever you do, just save yourself. Don't watch this movie, please,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. Just run away. Don't do it. But thanks for listening. Let us know if there's any other great films such as this that you would want us to endure, so you do not have to. I'm willing to bite the bullet for you. I'm here for you. I just want to help you out. But thanks for listening.
Thank you. Over and out. Bye.
Bye.